Wine Blender.
Dude, you know what's really cool?
What's up?
We have a third camera. Now, a third camera is pretty wicked when you could see what we've been living in, stuff like that. And I gotta say, you came up with a really cool idea for a show, right? Like when we started recording. I saw a movie called Studio 666, and I got really excited about it because I was expecting it to be fucking garbage because it's about the Foo Fighters and stuff.
Well,
and
we both saw it. You showed it to me, and I think my initial gut reaction too was the same thing. Also, I've seen trailers, it kind of just looks like an inflated music video or something, or a making of album, which they released an album that coincides with this movie and shit, and I've since listened to it. It's really fucking worth it if you're a person that's into heavier music. It does not sound like Foo Fighters at all.
Yeah,
nothing against Foo Fighters. I'm just I like Foo Fighters, but it just sounds more like metal.
It doesn't sound like Learn to Fly. What I really liked about it, when I first saw it, I was kind of like, oh, because I originally thought it was going to be kind of dumb.
A lot of times,
but it's dumb, but in a good way. But I was like, this reminds me of Tales from the Crypt, and that's what I was like. Oh shit, that's my in. I'm like, oh wow, you could play this with Demon Knight in a double feature, and it would totally make sense.
It does feel like a '90s horror studio movie.
Yeah,
which is funny because I think it was funded by them or something.
With a touch of the 70s too, though, because it's got that satanic panic thing.
Story-wise, yeah. It would have been cool if it was done more in the 70s style, but you can only ask for so much. To me, when you see a band in a movie, you think of it as a vanity project, right? It's some sort of we're just going to promote the band, show how cool we are, this and that, a la that Kiss movie.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But I love that Dave was really willing to put himself as, Dave Grohl playing Dave Grohl, willing to play
He seems more like Jack Black.
I know.
In the back of my mind watching it, I'm not saying he looks like Jack Black, but I kept on thinking, Jack Black would have been great in this and stuff. I did not look into this or anything, so I don't know who directed it, but it seems like Pick of Destiny.
Yeah, you know what? I should check if it's because I know it's this guy named BJ who's done a lot of music videos. He's worked with Slayer, a bunch of other stuff like that. Hence why Kerry King's in it.
Yeah,
Kerry King being in it was pretty funny. I like that.
A very angry tech guy.
Playing a roadie.
Yeah, the roadie. Thank you.
Yeah, I know it was really great. And the thing is, just we got to bring this up. It's okay, well, story wise, folks, if you haven't seen it, it's just this Foo Fighters. They get inspired. They want to make an album. And they rent this house that's essentially haunted, and there was this massacre that was there back in the 90s.
They wanted to make their 10th album, something special. So they wanted to go out into your own isolated outlet. That a lot of bands used to do that in the 70s. They go out in the middle of they'd rent some cabin in the middle of nowhere and stuff, and get inspired and shit. Probably do a shit ton of acid or something.
Yeah,
I remember Pink Floyd had a bunch of albums that they wrote, and I'm not sure if the Who did the same thing or that was a common thing, and a lot of bands kind of tend to find themselves. You don't get distracted by the life of being a fucking band. Drugs and alcohol and women, groupies, I should say.
I like the fact that the Foo Fighters give zero fuck about trying to be cool in this.
Yeah,
they've been taking the piss out of themselves since the early days music videos.
That was their appeal. Right?
Yeah, Learn to Fly, but even as early as what's talk about it? What's that one called?
Oh yeah, now that you're asking me, I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that song, ever since the early days, they definitely don't give a shit about being cool. But the thing is, a newer member of that band, which is a keyboard player, is the funniest guy in the movie. He's literally the butt of every joke. He's the one with the sex scene. Spoilers. And and it's really cool to see the dynamic of the band working so well. And it was really nice to see Taylor Hawkins on screen and talk that much before his unfortunate death, which was just a few weeks after it came out.
It's so weird. Weird. Do you think any movie that's has something to do with some sort of satanic thing, unbelievably has
The Omen.
Yeah, they just for some reason are cursed. Doesn't matter if you believe in the devil's been around it or something. Just for one reason or another, just gets cursed. Even if I'm just like thinking like that. That's just like a really fucked up coincidence.
Well, if you even look at if you look at that amazing series that you reminded me that season 2 was on Shudder. Love it. Shudder, Curse Films, awesome. Anyway, all you have to do is go to Oz apparently if you want to be in a cursed film. So it's not all the horror movies that were like essentially cursed.
You have to go to Oz?
Yeah. You have to go to prison, Oz. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So something I thought was pretty cool. I mean, there's a little bit of CGI in the movie, but in general, there's a lot of practical effects. I love at one point Dave, like when he's possessed, he's flying through the air, and I thought that was like that was really cool. I don't know. It was much better than I thought it was going to be, and I was like pleasantly surprised. And now with the death of Taylor and everything like that, I'm like, I don't know. It has a special place in my heart for sure. What do you say about it?
I think it was far more entertaining than I thought it was going to be. Like I already stated how I feel about like certain sometimes stars just who are not actors detach themselves to movies just because they have the weight to throw around and all that stuff. But and Foo Fighters just seemed like a very random like I was a Foo Fighters fan, but I've never really followed their career. Like I didn't know when their new album would drop and stuff. I always loved their videos. I think I'm going on a tangent, but I think.
It's not a tangent, man. Like Foo Fighters have been part of our lives since we were kids. Because you and I were a little too young for the hype of Nirvana. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I just for in terms of Nirvana, I think I was that age where I was coming to terms with music. And, like I remember, like everybody was talking about like the song "Rate Me" and like their being featured on a Saturday Night Live, like a live show. I was like a fucking kid at that point and stuff. So like I knew of Nirvana, and then like all coincidence side, like Denny committed suicide. But I didn't really start listening to music till after the fact. So I fall into that camp of like, you had to be there, man, type of thing. But
same man, absolutely. So Foo Fighters, I saw happen in real time. That's what I'm saying.
Same here. Like I saw like one of my best friends at the time, like was big into Nirvana and stuff, and like was following Dave Grohl and like everything that he was doing. I remember like Monkey Wrench was the first single that dropped, and he said like, "This is such a stupid song to like really this is the song that they're gonna like promote and all that shit." But whatever. And I always thought like it started as a side project and like it just became a phenomenon. Like I think they're one of the biggest bands like out of that era and stuff. And all their songs are so catchy. They're kind of like the Thin Lizzy of like that day, the boys are back, like such catchy tunes, like where it just seems like the best. It's not like background commercial music. It's just like always like a good time that you're having. Like that's the music that's in the background, at least for me and stuff. It wasn't too commercial. I found like some music just gets overplayed to a point where it's just like it loses all its value. But like you could throw on like we were just talking. I forgot the name of the fucking song. Now we both forgot the name of the song when they're mimicking the Mentos commercial. Is it Big Wreck?
Big Me. Big Me. Yeah.
I'm not gonna start dropping names. I'm like saying I'm like not the Foo Fighters like guru.
You're not claiming to be though. But here's the thing with me. It's like Foo Fighters always found interesting because here they are. They come out with Monkey Wrench, Everlong. Sick,
that was a good video.
Song.
I'd like to watch it again, but yeah.
So the first time I ever really remember Foo Fighters was a Monkey Wrench music video, but the thing that stood out to me, I was 13, I want to learn how to play drums, and Taylor just looked like Gary Busey on speed. Like, had this kind of, when he plays, he's a very handsome guy, but when he plays, he kind of shows his teeth a little bit, kind of like Gary Busey, shocking blonde hair. But he's just was this monster. So when you're 13, and I was like, love Lars Ulrich and Adrian Young from No Doubt and Trey Cool, anybody that looked like they were having a blast on drums, I was all in for it.
It's a talent in itself. First off, I had this thought, and I just want to get it out there, and like has nothing to do with what we were talking about. Gary Busey should be the Mask.
Oh my God!
Point, he would have been the best Mask.
Dude. Yeah,
just facially and everything and stuff. But I don't want to like say that. I'm sure Gary Busey wouldn't mind. But I'm like, God damn it, they probably like used him as a template to create the Mask in the original thing. Anyways, Big Teeth Are Beautiful. I personally thought if I was ever to have like a biography made on me, I always wanted either Gary Busey or Nick Nolte, because to play me because it would just be funny. Even if I like the childhood years, like when I was 6 years old, just like a 6 foot tall Gary Busey in the playground terrorizing the kids
with a lollipop.
terrorizing
Hey, how's it
everybody.
going? My name's Marco.
Making fun of the teachers, having weird conversations. That would be great. I think, yeah. I always thought that, if I would cast like the group of friends, like sometimes I just want to like cast the most random people to play them, you know, like against type. Against type's the best thing. So Gary Busey or Nick Nolte.
So anyway, back to
Holy shit, that was a tangent.
Oh,
wasn't
that's
it?
fine. That's what this show's all about. We just indulge in tangents, mindless self and tangent. So, you know, when Learn to Fly comes out, I'm like, oh shit, okay, so the band's gonna reach this plateau, and this is what they're gonna sound like. But then the second single comes in, and I think it's called Breakdown, and it's like, and it's heavy, you know what I mean? It's really heavy. And then later on, songs like All My Life and all that, there's always this balance of super heavy songs and then super poppy songs, but they never let go of their edge. The bigger they got, you would think like they would kind of weed all that out in order to sustain that level of fame, but they didn't. And that's really unique. That's really unique, and that's why the Thin Lizzy of their day, and that's why they're kind of like, you know.
Well, I think, sir, like there's something about rock bands where they don't give a shit about the radio play appeal. A lot of them get good radio play, but I think it's more about like fan base and stuff. So like they trust their fans enough to experiment to a certain degree, or they also respect their fans enough to not like isolate them too much. You know, like you go to buy like a specific album from a band and stuff, and like you get something that's completely 100% in a different direction. You're like, this is not what I paid my money for.
Yeah.
And Foo Fighters they have like a fan base, I think, that get it. You know, like they're not a jokey band. You know, they're semi-serious, but at the same time, they don't take themselves too serious.
Their jokiness they kind of put into their music videos, which is a
Take
nice
the piss
contrast.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when you see someone take themselves so seriously, and
You
then the
roll your
video
eyes.
they're so serious, it's kind of like Korn, I love you, but that's kind of the point. Yeah, that's part of it. You know what I mean?
Well, I think Korn actually there had to have been a video or two where they did. I'm trying to think. I like Korn videos. They never really stood out too far to me.
Okay, that's
like
cool.
I like the Korn videos. Like
I like Korn a lot, actually. I think. Well, anyway, we're talking about Foo Fighters.
we'll talk about a bunch of things.
Heaviness.
We like
heaviness when it comes to the Foo Fighters. It's really interesting that their last technical album is like literally the heaviest thing they've ever done. Because Dave Grohl loves Venom and he loves Motorhead and he likes all this heavy stuff. And then in this movie, they essentially make like the most, I don't know, dare I say, Marco Foo Fighters album-ish that they could possibly do. And I fucking love it. Like, I thought the track was amazing, but I was so thrilled that they actually did put it out as a real record, because they could have just kept
I
it in
think
the
they
movie.
wrote so much great material that they couldn't. Well, it was like, whoa, this comes with the. You know, this also makes a movie special. Yeah. Like, you know, if like you release an album that's also according to the movie, and that's something that like a lot of movies like lose nowadays. Like, remember, like I'm not the first person to point this out, but like remember those days when like they just release a song that was dedicated to the movie and all that shit, or like you know. Like fucking even just like Aerosmith doing "Don't Want to Leave This World" or whatever the fucking song.
Don't want to miss the thing.
I really wish I missed that one. Love Aerosmith.
Yeah, gotcha. Big example of that. Even though it did get on User Illusions 2, it was a really big fucking deal that
the Terminator?
You Can Be Mine was in Terminator 2. Yeah. And people I know went to the theater, well, because Terminator rules, but they also really want to hear the new Guns N' Roses.
That's such a neat tie-in. Like, remember when Arnold's walking around with like his shotgun hiding in like a bouquet of roses and stuff, and then like you have the Guns N' Roses thing, and it's like, you know, it's a sly little Easter egg before like Easter eggs were a thing and shit. And like I don't think it was like a studio note or anything. It's just I don't even know where that came from. I think that would be such a good, interesting story. Like sometimes you watch a movie and they have all these like this little interesting detail. I'm like, how the fuck did this happen?
And sometimes that little mistake is the thing that everyone talks about, but then the scene they meticulously plan out for months and months and months, just kind of go over somebody's head. But then, oh yeah, the camera shook that time because someone stepped on the cinematographer's foot.
Yeah,
and for some reason
or the cinematographer didn't know where he was standing.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've never heard too much other than like people pointing it out, or like the behind the scenes is like, did they approach Guns N' Roses? I actually ended up not a person to read scripts. I just sometimes you just fall into it. And originally, when John Connor's like fixing his motorcycle and he has like his boombox playing and it's like "You Could Be Mine," which they prominent in that song a lot. Like, is that the only song you have? It was supposed to be the Ramones in the background. I think it's I want to be sedated.
Really? Well,
so, yeah, that was in the script.
And then when you watch the movie, you're like, wow, if you paid money to hear this song, like it is so not in the movie. And then we'll get back to Foo Fighters in a second, but then I remember in Spider-Man 1 they released the official soundtrack, and I'm like, what fucking soundtrack? It's Danny Elfman scores the entire time. But then at the end, during the credits, they'll have like Chad Kroeger and the guy from Stain singing, "There'll be a hero and beat us."
Maybe yeah, we're better off not having songs with movies anymore.
Exactly, but there's movies like Baby Driver and your Tarantino flicks that will the song will be the scene, and then there's other songs they just drip in the soundtrack. Like
they throw it in.
When the fuck were you two in Batman Forever during the movie? Point on the doll where you two and Seal were playing during the movie.
No, it was just to promote it.
Exactly.
Mind you, I remember the U2 song and I really liked it.
No, me too, but I'm like, where in the movie was it? Like,
it wasn't.
Exactly.
It wasn't. You needed a theme song, or not a theme song, but a song just to tie it in and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It
So
seemed like a fun thing, but I don't know.
What's it called? "Smash It Up" by The Offspring was in Batman and Robin when Dick or Barbara was in the Batmobile, like that, or maybe that was Batman Forever. Come to think of it, yeah.
No, Batman Forever had like a soundtrack. I was gonna say a very good soundtrack. I'm like, a lot of it was good. Not some of it was good.
Okay, but then, recently saw Top Gun, and the soundtrack there is like, when you hear fucking Danger Zone and Kenny Loggins and Loverboy, that is the scene. Like, holy shit. So that wasn't trickled on at the end apologetically to sell some albums.
Oh, wait, yeah. So
yeah.
Talking about Top Gun, like Lady Gaga released a song for Top Gun, right?
I guess so, I don't know.
I think, I remember hearing it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to shit on the song or anything, but I'm just like, well, at least they still have songs that like tie into movies, and like maybe that's one thing Top Gun kind of represents the most is like that era when movies were released as a whole package with like music and like a superstar at the helm.
I think one of the most the music had to happen to make the scene happen was Baby Driver, because the driver drives better when he's listening to his music. In fact,
he's like focused.
He will rewind the part because he needs it to be at the exact part.
He wants it like his own
miraculous fucking car
jump.
Watch
again.
Yeah. Oh, it's a fucking rat. It's fucking. I love it
because I know I kind of like sometimes when you're doing a task and stuff like where you want to really concentrate on something, like I don't know. I like some like fucking 90s techno.
There you go. I love 90s techno. Oh shit.
Like,
put on Chemical Brothers any day, man. Like,
and actually, I like Chemical Brothers a lot to play in the background for something like that, or like fucking Prodigy's Experience. Like, it's so early 90s, and it's not like it doesn't have their more famous songs other than Outer Space, which I fucking love. It's one of my top songs, but like it's so fast paced and like it's its own like hit of adrenaline just to hear it. So. Like, it helps me do any sort of, like, mundane task, like, just to, like, a Tasmanian devil degree of insanity. So back to our review on Foo Fighters 666.
Great, really, really fun fucking movie. I like it. Really feels like a Tales from the Crypt. It would have been great to even have the Crypt Keeper open it up. I think it could have been a Tales from the Crypt movie easily.
I think there's a lot of red tape to like fucking sever through. You have to like bring back the Tales from the Crypt, which I think didn't M. Night Shyamalan do that at one point?
No, it was like they said they were, but it's like it's funny like all the stuff comes out and I don't see it. Like there's a new Twilight Zone.
Yeah, with Jordan Peele.
But I haven't seen that. There was a new...
That I'm curious about.
Me too.
Like, because I have recently watched Us a second time. I've watched, like, his Get Out, like, 3 times, and, like, even listened to some of the commentary.
Yeah, I really liked Us. Yeah.
I was, like... Us, I remember, like, being sort of, like, rolling my eyes at, like, the pivotal, like, scene, like, near the end and stuff. And then I watched it again. I'm like, I'm still thinking it's hokey, but at the same time, it is an extended Twilight Zone movie, so like which is like a basic what if story. And if you do it well, and I think he's a talented enough director, like where he was able to like, if you're able to make the most weirdest thing work in your movie, or like an audience could like be like, I'm gonna let that slide because I want to know what fucking happens. You know, like more power to you. That shows like how good you are at like your craft.
Well, we'll do a whole episode on Jordan Peele once Nope comes out, because I really want to see Nope.
Oh shit! So
yeah,
okay, that's his.
Yeah, that's his new movie. I want to see Nope, and then we could talk
Yeah,
all
man.
about that
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Get Out. Oh, fucking really cool stuff, man. We're living in a
Speaking
good
of
age.
music and getting out and stuff, like I see you're wearing the Green Room shirt.
Oh yeah, Green
and
Room.
stuff.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I just watched it recently.
Studio House Designs, yo, fucking great. One of the best horror t-shirt companies in the world. Check them out on Instagram. Studio House Designs and their website. And yeah, I don't know when this episode's coming out, but you know, check out their stuff because they have this whole A24 package that's really, really, really cool. Yeah, man. So Studio 666, Blu-ray. The Blu-ray has come out. I would love to see some features because I'm sure after the fact they've done a lot of things because the features were probably like additional things, tributes to Taylor Hawkins, that kind of stuff. I'm sure they were in there. Yeah, really cool. I really like the song. I'm looking forward to hearing the album. Do you have anything to say about like the album? Is it still one track like it said in the movie that it's supposed to be this one giant song or something?
No. The track I think itself is just like a really long song at the end, the last track. But I think what you hear in the song that he's been writing is like magnum opus, like it's just like snippets of each song on that album. I think there's eight songs. I have to listen to it again, but they all just like show different aspects because it seems like throughout the writing of this, he's like trying to grab this concept that he's like, and every time he approaches the band, it's always like a different thing that he wants to do and shit. And the band's just looking at him like he's crazy. And the more I'm like was watching the movie, I remember thinking like, it's kind of funny because I know that sort of like mindset when you have like an idea and you only have so many words to explain it. It's like kind of like me explaining this. It's just you start scammering over yourself, and it's like, and then we're gonna have the guitar, and it's gonna go. You come in with the drums, it's like, the keyboards are going, and that's basically like I understand that like scatterbrained sort of like trying to explain yourself sort of mentality. So I don't know. Dave Grohl's character in the movie was like one out of all cinema in general, like spoke to me the most.
Yeah, dude, you were talking about Jack Black before. That's oddly how he tells people how to play Smoke on the Water in a School of Rock.
Yeah, exactly, and yeah, or how he wants to like do his magnum opus, which just seems like the movie version. Like when you're thinking of like when he's explaining to kids, we're talking about School of Rock right now. When he's telling the kids like his like song that he wants to do and how it looks and stuff, and there's like dry smoke, dry ice, and smoke comes in, and then like there's a light on me and all that stuff. And then, which School of Rock is an interesting way of saying like, you know, a band is about the band. It's not just about the individual rock star, because there's a whole shit ton of things that come along with the production and stuff. And I think that's, if you want to talk about arcs and all that stuff, like that's like Jack Black's arc in that movie.
Well, yeah, but also something to note, like Jason Rockman, our friend, who's done many interviews, he says that Dave Grohl always does interviews as a band, never does them single. He only ever, Foo Fighters, if it's a Foo Fighters interview, the whole band is there. And that's really cool, instead of the, like, you know,
hey man, that was
the me
something,
show, the lead singer show, because Dave Grohl's like an icon, but he's like, well, I'm an icon, but I'm a package.
It's the fact that like when you sing naturally, you have to be the center of attention, right? Like, and it's, I don't know, like, well, obviously it starts because you're the voice,
but it's what an untrained ear that doesn't know music, like who can't tell what a bass is, they will go straight to the voice or the drums because they're the most.
Or when if you're like you're promoting it through your music videos and stuff, like you're the person. Like if the singer is singing, you're not gonna have a close up on the drummer doing the work and all that stuff.
Unless it's one.
Unless it's one, or it's now I'm trying to remember a band that like
or Queens of the Stone Age where they're like, we have Dave Grohl that's out and it's keep fucking showing shots at Dave.
Yeah, but yeah, like you know, it's a cool thing. Like actually, I remember hearing Jim Morrison in interviews, like when they introduced him, like as Jim Morrison at the Doors, is like no, it's like we're a whole package and stuff. It's just he got lumped into like the frontman rock star icon type of thing, which it's unfortunate. Like when you're a band and stuff, but you also when you try to start like putting music together and songs and all that shit, you don't know where it's gonna go. It's organic thing and stuff.
Yeah,
and,
that's true.
I think it's just horseshit sometimes when you look at like a very promising band and like the frontman's just like just using his vocals and like that's all he comes for, what he's hired for, but he's not like or she is not like like a fucking supermodel and stuff, and it's unfair.
Yeah, well, they even kind of depicted that, like, No Doubt were even depicting it in their song, "Don't Speak," where the magazine people were like putting her up front, and putting the band
and
on
the
the
band's
side.
feeling all
Yeah, but it's funny that they went all meta and they put it in there. But yeah, so Dave Grohl, I just think it's super cool that he took everybody along for the ride. But when I hear songs on that album, I'm a big No Use for a Name fan, and Chris. Besides Pat Smear, who played in the Germs, Chris was the guitar player in No Use for a Name before he joined Foo Fighters. So when I'm hearing these tracks, I'm hearing one of my favorite drummers, I'm hearing the guitar player of one of my favorite punk bands, and I'm hearing Dave Grohl all play music together. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I like the fact that Foo Fighters left heavy. I don't know if they're gonna go on and make more music or whatever. Without Taylor, because Taylor was like, a vital part of that band. It's not that nobody can't do it. It's just, will they?
It's hard to continue on. Like when you're a band and you're like a family and stuff, and then you have that weird notion of like, well, you have to have someone fill in that person's shoes, or like.
Yeah.
So, and the drummer I think is always the most misunderstood, because they're always like stuck in the back. We're talking about frontmen, and they get all the attention. And like, yes, singing is like a really big deal. Like, that's like the most personal thing that you could donate to the song and stuff. It's your own voice. But drummers, I don't know. I always get fascinated by drummers, and they're always the ones that are least prominent. You watch a live video and stuff, and it's like, all right, we'll give them a good 10 minutes for a drum solo. But that's like that.
Unless you're Neil Peart or something like that.
Yeah, like you're a legend and stuff. But I think any drummer that's able to carry a beat and like so many complicated, like I don't know, like I'm a fan of prog rock, so like that's where drummers are just insane.
Yeah.
Like what? Huh?
So, would you recommend this movie to people, like Studio 666? Like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah. I'm not gonna like start like shitting on it, but my gripes was it had Return of the King syndrome, where there's like 17 endings.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but I'm just like still worth a watch. I think for Foo Fighter fans or people who just like horror movies and want to see something unique, because like it is actually a good sense of like how a song comes together, not realistically, but just how an actual song comes together in terms of like how a band sees the initial flow of it coming together, especially when you're trying to do something different, and like a band like Foo Fighters has been around for now 20 years, like you're trying to be fresh and all that stuff. So it's an interesting set to see. Like it's an interesting movie to just look on the inside of like the workabouts of a band without it being like a documentary. It's like it is completely putting it into a horror movie.
Yeah, like look at Metallica. Like they make the movie Through the Never, and it's basically Dane DeHaan running away and running into trouble.
Is that the name of the kid?
Yeah, but it would have been really cool if like Lars or James would have been the people running from danger. Like I wouldn't have minded a Kiss Meets the Phantom where Metallica are acting all shitty. So good on Foo Fighters for being
good on Foo Fighters for actually having a script for their movie. I think I don't want to shit on like whatever. I didn't care for the Through the Never movie. I thought it was more of just like it was either I have a really weak narrative or we have a concert video. Concert movie, I guess that's what you call it.
I gotcha. Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like,
I know.
I've seen better Metallica performance. It's a good performance, but I'm just like,
look, Kiss Meets the Phantom sucks balls, but it's also at the same time it's kind of awesome.
I'm just going back on the Metallica thing. I was just like, their music is like kind of has this epic thing that you could actually add to a cinematic anything. Like, you could do so many great things with the cinematic flow and stuff. I'm thinking of, like, I really love Pink Floyd's The Wall. Like, people probably roll their eyes when they see that fucking movie and shit, but it's just it's a movie that, like, the music kind of lends itself perfectly to the visuals. So I would have loved to see Metallica, Pink Floyd's The Wall. Like, just grab their best songs, maybe more of their instrumentals, but like, you're gonna have to appeal to a mainstream modern audience and their fans and stuff. So why not just do a live video and shit? But
I got you.
That was my thing. I don't know, like. There's so much more you could do with, like, a narrative in a Metallica movie and shit, and I thought that was a drop of the ball. It was a multi-million-dollar drop of the ball and stuff, and I don't think they made money out of it. But
no, they did not. I really, really appreciate the fact. Well, look, I was saying before, Kiss Meets the Phantom actually technically sucks, but Kiss are barely in it. You know what I mean? Like, you wait. It's kind of like Godzilla movie where you're like, you're waiting for
the big gut monster.
Stupid fucking humans until the big monsters show up, and then Kiss are those monsters. And in Rock and Roll High School, PJ Souls is a fucking amazing actress, and she's from Halloween.
Rock and Roll High School
she carries that, but the Ramones are. It's kind of like Detroit Rock City. The Ramones are the band that's in it, and they're the focal point of why they're going on the adventure.
Detroit Rock City is just like such a random teenage movie, but it's a good use of the band, but it's not like what we were talking about, a vanity project,
But there we go. What's another movie that's not Glitter or Mariah Carey or Britney Spears fucking cross? What's another movie where the band plays the band and they're in it the entire time? Like,
Beatles done that twice.
That's true. That's true.
3 times if you count Yellow Submarine.
So
what is it? Help and Hard Day's Night, right? I've not watched them, so I'm not gonna pretend that I know them, but they look like they're really
Help.
well
There
put
was too
together
much
movies.
drugs involved, but I really do like Hard Day's Night. It's very fucking funny.
Which one's the black? Are they both in black and white?
No.
No?
No, Hard Day's Night's the black and white famous one. It's the good one.
That's the one you like?
Yeah.
I saw Yellow Submarine because it's just trippy and shit.
Yeah, but that's not even them. Like, they're in the beginning and they don't even voice the characters.
Is that so?
No.
Yeah, I don't remember much.
So in this, so Studio 666 is pretty much Scooby-Doo meets Tales from the Crypt meets Hard Day's Night, and good on them. I gotta say that. Even if you don't like Foo Fighters, I think if you just like the 3 things I had mentioned prior, then this is definitely the movie for you if you're watching this. Yeah, cool. All right, that was fun. All right, word. Subscribe.